Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of Advanced Bass Fishing, and really appreciate you guys checking today's video out and hanging out with me for a little bit. And today, guys, we're going to have a seminar. I'm going to give you guys a tutorial on fishing big spinnerbaits in the springtime of the year. We're talking about 3/4 ounce and 1 ounce spinnerbaits with big blades on them. This is the time of year you want to fish, and we're in a window right now. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to explain to you a little bit about how I choose how the setup of the spinnerbait is in terms of blades and colors and that type of deal. And then talk about the optimal fishing conditions that you want to use them in. So I think it's going to add up to some quality fish for you guys. Also, guys, I will link some of my favorite spinnerbaits in the description of this video in my Tackle Warehouse link. If you guys want to pick up some of the spinnerbait type of stuff we're talking about, I'll put everything in the video description there. And also, guys, one other thing, anyone interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, you can do that by going to my Facebook page, Randy Blockett Professional Angler. Just shoot me a private message for info and I'll get back with you on that, so I really appreciate it. Okay, a lot of you channel regulars, you've heard me talk about this in the past quite a bit, about how much I love to fish a big spinnerbait in the pre-spawn period of the year. It's all about water temperatures being in the 50s, guys. It's like when you got water temperatures in the 50s and you've got bass that are sort of in that pre-spawn stage a little bit, these big spinnerbaits are just deadly on big fish. In fact, I've said it before, and it's like, I bet throughout my whole fishing career that I've had so far, I bet probably 75% of the bass that I have caught over 7 pounds have come on big spinnerbaits during the pre-spawn. It's just a great way to catch big ones. And it doesn't last a long time. There's a window, and I want to sort of describe to you what that window is in today's video, because it's a pretty diverse window too. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the spinnerbait configurations that I like. Now, the first one is the one that's probably used most common, is a 3/4 ounce model with like a number 6 or number 7 willow leaf blade on it. And the front blade on it, it can be a Colorado or a willow. It doesn't seem to really matter that much to me, but you want to have at least a number 6 blade on it. That's the 6 or 7. I think this is a 6 right here. The number 6 blade, you can fish a little bit deeper. 7 tends to lift a little bit. And then, of course, the skirt colors that I have is just completely dependent on the water clarity. The dirtier the water, obviously, the more I go to a little bit brighter chartreuses. A little bit cleaner, I go to more translucent pearls, that type of deal. But this is the setup right here that I use most of the time, as long as that water visibility is probably over about 1.5 feet. So I'm going to guess out of the two that I'm talking about, like I said, probably 75-80% of the time I'm using the big willow leaf on the 3/4 ounce. The other one that I'm using is a single Colorado number 7 or number 8. And usually this is my dirty water setup. So I usually have a brighter skirt, some type of a chartreuse and a white. And I do like the old living rubber skirt on here. It stands out a little bit more. It's got more of a glow. Usually put some type of a trailer on it for more buoyancy. 3/4 ounce head. This is a big bass lure that puts out a lot of vibration and a lot of thump. Now the Colorado is going to put out twice the thump, at least twice the thump as the willow leaf blade. So that's why the Colorado works better in those dirty or low light conditions, is, the fish can find it a little bit easier and a little bit cleaner conditions with the willow leaf there. Another good thing on that is good rule of thumb is if it's rainy and cloudy, a lot of times the Colorado can outfish the willow leaf, but ultimately that's the two primary setups that we're talking about. And you can mix and match the skirt colors and the type of trailers that you're using, just to sort of meet your own needs. There's a lot of different stuff that works. And most of the time, one of the things that I found out about this is on these big spinnerbaits, I fish them on my flipping stick, because you've got a lot of mass right here. When a big fish comes up and bites this thing and clamps down on the whole bait like that, you got to move that fish, because if you have a little weenie tipped rod on there, a lighter line, you're never going to get that hook in there. So most of the time I use my flipping stick with 20 to 25 pound test Seagard and Vizex fluorocarbon line on it, and I can really move those fish and I can cast it a long way. It's just, I just like fishing it on a flipping stick. I've done really good on there, lost very few fish with it. Okay, now given that, let's talk a little bit about, once you got the setup on the spinnerbait, let's talk a little bit about where you want to fish it and what you want to look around. Now there's two different scenarios that I have caught a lot of big ones during the pre-spawn. Probably my favorite, which this is, a lot of you guys don't have water like this, but I want to throw it out there. because if you do, it's really good. If you have submerged grass in a lake, like submerged hydrilla or submerged milfoil that is in sort of that 4 to 10 foot range, slow rolling a big spinnerbait is a deadly way to catch big ones in the situation like that. Absolutely deadly. And what I like to do is I like to get out over those big grass flats that are somewhat closer to deep water and just sort of take the top of the grass with those big spinnerbaits. Just fish them, slow roll them over the top of that grass. It's a deal where you're not going to get a lot of bites, but when you get bit on them, it's usually always a good one. I mean, it's usually always a 4-pound plus fish on a big spinnerbait over submergent grass. So all you guys that fish, grass lakes down south specifically, all through Texas and through the Gulf Coast, even in Florida, that's a really good way to catch them. And I've caught them on both the Colorado and both the willow leaves. In fact, the second biggest stringer fish I ever caught in a Bassmaster tournament was down at Lake Gunnersville, Alabama, on that big single spin Colorado, slow rolling it over grass. So it's a really good way to catch them there. But moreover, as far as the water that more people have are some type of traditional man-made impoundments with wood or rock structure. Now, you guys hear me talking a lot about pre-spawn, channel swing banks, staging areas, and that type of deal. Slow rolling the big spinnerbait down those channel banks are really, really good ways to catch them. Just basically throw it up there, try to fish it close to the bottom, just match your speed to retrieve and how far you let the lure fall based upon the angle of the bank. But just fishing those things like at a 45-degree angle bank and slow roll them down those steeper rocky banks. Riprap banks can be good, channel banks, bluff banks sometimes. And also, if you have a cove, say, some type of a steep cove that has steep rocky banks on it, slow rolling that spinnerbait down those steep rocky banks in the coves can be really good too. Now we're talking about, for all of this, water temperatures in 50s. The perfect water temperature for it is about the mid 50s, 55, 57 degrees. Excellent time to fish a big spinnerbait. And obviously the big spinnerbait is going to be a lot better under your low light conditions. So if you have some type of a day with a little bit of wind to it and some rain or overcast skies, that's always better than clear water, or than clear skies or bright sunlight conditions for a spinnerbait. But the main thing, guys, is just throw it. And the when you're fishing this thing, the bite can come in a lot of different ways. It can be a very subtle bite, like you just feel weight, or sometimes they can just hammer it. There's a lot of different varieties to it. But most of the time, guys, you just have to keep it close to the bottom. I don't care if you're fishing over submerged grass or around rocks. Don't fish that spinnerbait up in the water column. Try to keep it within a foot of the bottom or just ticking the top of that grass. Now, if that water temperature gets closer to 60, upper 50s, right around 60s, sometimes you can move up to shallow cover and fish those big spinnerbaits around shallow cover. So if you have a lake, say the water temperature is 57, 58 degrees, and you got some good stain in the water, like water visibility of a foot or two, and you've got shallow targets like lay down trees or maybe some lily pads or stumps in the water, or even shallow rock can be good. Sometimes fishing that spinnerbait in less than 3 foot of water, you can catch some really good ones too. I've had some really fun days, fishing that big spinnerbait really shallow. Most of the time that works if you have really dirty water. I talked about a foot to 2 visibility, but most of the time if you have that water visibility closer to a foot, that's when that shallow cover is going to be really, really good. So anyway, guys, if I could give you one piece of advice on catching big fish, out of all the lures out there, I don't care if it's a glide bait, if it's a big swim bait, if it's a jig, a jerk bait, whatever, I think that big spinnerbait with the big blade on it is the #1 lure to realistically catch big fish on, most consistently once you have those conditions. So it doesn't work that good if it's colder. It doesn't work that good if it's a little bit warmer. Once you get into that window that I described, it's going to be really good then. So I hope it helps you guys catch some. We'll talk later.